All right, so good morning, everyone, or good afternoon, or good evening, depending on the period of time you're watching this video from. All right, so we are welcome to today's online meetup. All right, so before we get started, right, so I want to be sure we all can hear me and we can see my screen. So please, if you can hear me and you can see my screen also, please, you can um, just unmute and let me know if you can hear me clearly and you can also see my screen. You can quickly just unmute and let me know. Good. Good morning, Afsat Isa.
Yes,
Yeah, so the audio
that's
is
it.
clear, right?
Okay, yes, it is.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, good
Um,
morning.
yeah, good
Good
morning.
morning.
Yeah, so Mohammed Nuhu Kauji. If you can hear me, please, you can unmute. Mohammed Nuhu Kauji.
Yeah,
Oh, good morning, sir.
good morning.
Okay, you can hear me and you can also see my screen, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So we can all mute our mics, please. All right, so for now it is a relatively small class because I'm seeing just three persons online with myself. So I think we are just going to all right. So basically, if what it means is you are going to be my moderators, right? So if anything happens while we're on session, you stopped hearing me or you stopped seeing my screen, you can just quickly unmute and let me know, so I can quickly fix whatever it is causing the issue. But then I want to believe today's session is going to be smooth and we won't be cut off at any point. Then yeah, so if anything happens again, then maybe peradventure I leave the session. Please just wait for me patiently. It could be network. I'm going to try as much as possible to fix whatever the issue is, then get back in. Yeah, so that being said, I think we are good to go. So today is going to be an interesting one because we are going to be seeing and learning about a new concept, right? So how do I start? How do I start? All right. So we can still see my VS Code, right? I'm currently inside my VS Code. Can we see my VS Code?
Yes, we can see it.
All right. Thank you. So the usual, I've created a new folder. I called it currency converter. So I want to import my folder into my VS Code. So the reason why this folder is called currency converter is because today we are going to be creating a system where if you impute any amount, you will be able to convert it to a different currency, right? So maybe from dollars to naira, from naira to pounds, and so on and so forth, right? Any currency whatsoever. So and we are going to be using the real exchange rate. So we are not going to be using an encoded rate that we type ourselves. We are going to be fetching the rate online, then run our conversion, right? So that's why I said today's session is going to be you know a bit interesting and new, yeah, because we are going to be working with a concept called API, right? So so that being said, we've imported our folder. You can name it whatever it is you like, but just import it. Then in there you can create your file. You can call it main.py or whatever it is you wish to call it, right? So so as I said, we are going to be creating a currency converter system, right? And I said we are going to be using, let me enable autosave. So I said we are going to be using what we call APIs, right? So that's what we are going to be using. Yeah, so before we start, right, let me quickly define what API is. API is, you can just see API as Yes, let me remove the capital letter. So there are those set of rules that allows one software to, or you can just say that allows one application to communicate. You can call it software, you can call it application, and exchange data um, with another software application. All right, so this is just like the simple definition of what an API is, right? So API in itself stands for application programming interface. So that's what it stands for. So sorry. So it stands for application programming interface. Yeah, so that's what API stands for, right? So I said it is, there are those set of rules that allows, an application to communicate with, sorry, I think it was because I broke the line. That allows one software to communicate and exchange data with another software application. Yeah. So whenever you hear API, just think around, maybe you go to a restaurant, you see a waiter, then you are trying to get food from the restaurant. So now this is a link between you, the waiter, and the actual kitchen, right? You, the customer, request for what you want. The waiter takes your request back to the kitchen, then they get the food, then it brings it back to you. So that waiter is the API in this case, right? So we, the customer, now is the code we are writing. So we are writing our codes using an API to go to a particular database and fetch some sort of data for us, right? So the API is standing, or is acting as like an intermediary between us, the programmer, and a database somewhere, right? So since we said we are going to be creating a currency converter system today, so for whichever codes we are writing, the API will take our codes, or rather it will go and fetch the current exchange rate from a particular platform or database and give us the data, so we can sort and display or use or calculate as the case may be. So that's basically the layman explanation of what an API is, the waiter thing. But if you're looking for the technical definition of what an API is, then you can, see these parts, right? So as I said, we are going to be creating this using an API. All right. So in the time past, are we still together, please? Are we still together, please?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So, in the time past, whenever you want to create like a system, or whenever you want to work with an API, you go to Google, then you start saying maybe currency APIs, something like this. Then you start seeing different website, different options for different APIs you can use. But with each passing with each technological advancement that keeps coming out, it's reducing the rate at which you strive to get what you want, right? So it's keeping information in one place instead of just moving from one platform to the other looking for what you want. So these days, even though you can do something like this, all these ones are platforms where you can get free APIs from. Remember, free, because right now we don't want to pay, right? But trust me, there are several APIs out there that you pay to use them. But we are going to be, the emphasis here is on free API. So all these ones are just API platforms that you can go on and use. But right now, what I do is I don't go through Google looking for free APIs. What I do is I go to my, whichever AI tool you're using. I prefer ChatGPT. Then I do something like this. Can you recommend maybe five let me put free API platforms for currency exchange. um, you can just give it context, right? The reason I want to give it context is so it won't think I'm just looking for that thing for research. I want you to know that okay, I want to use Python for, or there's no need itself. So let's just go with this one. Can you recommend 5 free API platforms for maybe my currency exchange project? Right, so now let's see the option it gives us. Right, you can see it says this is the first one, and this happens to be the one I use often. Exchange rate API. You can see free plan. You can have or you have 1,500 requests per month. What it means is, say maybe you're done with your code and you run it. That is one request. You're done, you run it again. That is another request. So this particular one is giving you 1,500 requests per month, which is more than enough to test run whatever it is you're building. Then it is giving you JSON response. If you can remember during the bootcamp, we said JSON is JavaScript object notation. Don't worry about it. I'm going to explain it further once we start. Right. So it means the response we are going to be getting from this API would be in this format. Right. So this particular API supports 160 what's it called, currency codes, right? No credit card required. So now they went further and said this is the endpoint we are going to be using. Endpoint is just like a link. So this is the base URL we are going to be using, right? So it says best for beginners and student projects. Yeah. So this is another one, Frankfurter API. I've never used this before. Oh, this one doesn't actually require an API key. So I think for practice purposes, once we are done with today's session, you can just explore this because with this first one, it requires us to register, then activate our account, then it will generate an API key for us. But from what I'm seeing here, this one does not require those long process, and it says it is based on European Central Bank data, historical rate, lightweight and fast. So you can explore this later on. Then this is just 1,000 requests per month. Then yeah, so this one requires an API key also. So it means this one would require you to register. This one requires app ID. So it means you are going to register for this. So it will just give you several options that you can choose from. But because I'm familiar with this first one, exchange rate API, this is what we are going to be using. So what I'll do is I'll just go ahead and click this. Yeah, so it takes me to this dashboard, which is their website, exchange rate API. So it says currency conversion rates for 165 countries over 15 years. Hundreds of all these ones are just fancy English to basically they are just trying to make you sign up basically. I will stay together, please. Are we
Yes,
still
sir.
together? Thank you. All right. So since I said it
We're together.
requires, yeah, thank you. It requires us to sign up. So you can just input your email address here and click on get free key. I've been using this platform for different tutorial sessions, for different sessions and all. So I've exhausted all the mails I have, right? I have like 3 Gmail accounts, so maybe 5 domain emails and stuff like that. So I've exhausted up. So because of this session, so we can follow with the step-by-step process. I've decided to create another email for this. So don't worry if you're seeing at techpatrickglobal.ng, you can use your at gmail.com. Right. The reason why I'm using this is because I don't have any spare Gmail account anymore. So just input your Gmail address in here, then click on get free key. Yeah. So it says our pro plan has a free 2 week trial. We just need to try. So this is the email I imputed. No need to tick this. You can see it says accept marketing emails. So if you don't want this platform to keep sending you promotional emails, do not tick this. So for the email parts, let me just use the same email as this because it will require you to type in a very strong email address. So I'm going to type in a password. Remember, we are creating an account. Then you click this to verify that you're human. Right, you can see just the email, the password, and you tick this. Then you click accept terms and create account. So you give it a while to load. Yeah, so you can see it says we've mailed an activation link to that's your email. So that is why it has to be a correct email because you can't really continue unless you verify your account. So what it says is it has sent a link to my mail. So I'm going to go to my mail and wait for that email. So as it is, it hasn't dropped, so I could just go ahead and refresh. But since I'm using a domain email, sometimes it takes a while for messages to drop in a domain email. But if it was like a Gmail account you used, it will drop within a few seconds. So I think in less than say maybe a minute, this one should drop. But so while we are waiting, any questions so far? Any question so far?
I joined late. What are we creating today?
Yeah, we are building a currency converter system.
Okay, 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 fine. Thank
Yeah.
you.
All right, so if there are no more questions, right? So the email has dropped. You can see it says exchange rate API, confirm email address. Remember what I did here, you can impute your Gmail address, right? So that's the one I would go for if I were creating this account, right? The first time. So go ahead and click on that email. Then it says, welcome to exchange rate API. Thanks for signing up. Please click this link to activate your account. So this is the link we are looking for. So go ahead and click on that link. Yeah, so the moment you click on that link, it will show you your dashboard. You can see, so these are your dashboard. This is the most important bit here. You see it says your API key. This is my own unique API key. So for when you create your own account, your own API key will be different from this. So without an API key, you will not be able to connect to this endpoint to fetch, current exchange rates. So you need these keys to connect to this. So that is the purpose of this API key. But then I want to understand that some persons might be, struggling to, say maybe because of network, to get the activation link and also what I'm going to do, so as we can follow this session, I'm going to just paste my API key in the chat area of this Google Meet. You can see where I'm clicking. So on your screen, you could just go ahead and click on this place to copy my own API key, at least until you have verified your own account to get your own key. But the verification doesn't actually take time. It just requires you to type in your email, your password, then submit, then they will send a link to your mail, then you click, then it will take you straight to this place, right? But if you don't have that, you can just use mine. Then after the session, you can complete your own sign up and use your API key. All right, so as I was saying, we have access to 1,500 API calls per month because we are using the free plan. So I have not made any calls today. Remember, anytime you hear API calls, it means how many times you're running that application, whatever it is you're building, how many times you're running it, right? So our monthly quota is ending on the 30th of next month, right? So we are having 1,005 every month. So these are the two things we need for our system, right? So that being said, we can go back to our VS Code and start writing some codes. But first and foremost, let's even see if we can get some sort of documentation for this. Remember, we said documentation is very important for programmers, right? Because, okay, you've registered, you've gotten your API key, you've gotten your base URL or your endpoint. So how then do you use Yeah, you can use ChatGPT to, explain how to use it. But most of all these platforms provide a documentation. You can see it on the left hand side. It says documentation, then it says docs overview. So docs overview just means documentation overview. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that. Right. So it says fast starts, main API, endpoints and all. So I want to check the main API. So let me click on this. Then you can see. So this is what JSON looks like. Remember from our ChatGPT, it said exchange rate, our responses will come as JSON, right? So this is how our responses will come as. You can see these curly braces. It is looking like a dictionary, right? So that is how our response will come from. You can see result key, the value is success, documentation key, this is the value, the time of this particular data. You can see it is Friday, so we're actually using yesterday's rate, right? Oh, sorry, the next update is today, but what time zone is this? But I shall know they update their data that they give us, periodically, right? So we are using current rates. You can see USD, AUD, Canadian dollars, and so on and so forth, right? So what I want to do also is I don't just want to follow generic documentation. So on the left hand side you can see code examples. You can see if maybe you want to consume this API using a PHP language, you can click on that. They'll tell you how to go about it. If you are using Java, they'll tell you how to go about it. If you are using Ruby on Rails, they'll tell you, the code on how to. You can see this is the code for that. And if you are using C sharp, you can see how long it is, right? See, namespace, class rate, it is just like, now you can understand why most persons prefer to go for Python, right? Because it is, the syntax is simple and it is not as extensive as, you can see how long this particular one is to consume that API. So now let me click on Python and you see how simplified it will look. You can see just this to consume that API. So first and foremost, Python said we have to import requests. That's the first step. Then it said you can declare a variable that is equals to the base URL they gave to us. You can see this is the link to their website, then v6, then we need to pass in our own API key here, then a text of latest, then USD. So this USD is the currency you're converting from, right? Then he said this URL is going to get some information here. So we are going to use this request that we've imported here to get some content from this URL. Then we are going to store it inside any variable of our choice. Then we are going to use JSON to convert it into something we can actually read. Then we can actually print it and see what is coming from there. Then the result is going to look like this. Yeah, so you can now see the importance of documentation, because it prevents you from being stuck. It just gives you the process on how to use a particular API or a particular platform. Are we still together, please?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Okay, so since we've gotten what we want, I think the next thing is just to, go into our VS Code to start writing um, our codes, right? So I'm going to go back in there. So remember the first step said we import requests. But now here's the thing. In Python, you don't just import requests. Request is I think Mr. Paul covered modules, right? Hello. Why are we not saying anything?
We did.
Exactly.
Yes, we did.
So
Remember, you covered modules.
yeah, thank you. So whenever you see import, that is module. So for us to be using import here, it means this request is a module. So since you've not installed it yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open my terminal. I'm going to open my terminal. So before you can import, sort of like there are some modules that you have to install it before you use. But there are some that just by typing import, it grants you access to those modules, right? So for request, you have to install it first and foremost. So how do you install request? So in your terminal, you type this. Pip is a package manager, right? You use pip to deploy or to maybe install something. So we call it the package manager. So you type pip space, then install, then requests with an S, right? Like so. Pip install request. Then you tap enter rather. So now you see this my own is telling me you may have installed Python packages into your global environment. That's because I've already installed it before, but this is for the purpose of those persons that haven't installed it yet. So it might take a while. Immediately you type pip install request. It might take a while. Just let it load as long as you're connected. So the moment you see something like this, a new release of pip is available to update run, it means it is now installed, right? But if pip install request does not work for you, it could be that you're using one of these primitive version of Python. So you could just try this instead. Pip3 install requests. Yeah, so this is only when this particular one does not work for you, right? But then I want to believe this first one, pip install request, would work. But if it doesn't, then you can try pip3 install request. So now since we are seeing this particular bit, yeah, this notice, I said it means it is now installed. So now how do we test if it is installed or not? So what you can do is you can just go ahead and import the request that you just installed. Then remember, whenever you want to see what you can do on a particular data, you can just do print dir of the request. So if our installation was successful, we are going to see all the methods on request. But if it is not successful, we are going to get an error. So let me run this. Yeah, so you can see, so after the double underscore, yeah, so it means we can there's an adapters method, there's an API method, there is an attach method, sats method, cookies method, delete method, get method. We are going to be using this shortly. There is request method. We are going to be using this also. So these are all the methods that came with requests, right? So basically what this means is our request has been installed and we can use. So let me quickly comment this. All right, so remember we are using this as our guide, as our documentation, right? So it said we should import request. We've done that and it is working. So it said we should declare a variable, right, that will be equals to this base URL that they are giving to us, this endpoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this inner one, the link to their website, the way they want us to use it. So I'm going to copy this. Then I'm going to go back into my VS Code. Are we still together, please? Are we still together? Eh? Something has happened. We are together?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, thank you then. The reason why I keep asking is so it won't be that because network and Google Meet can be funny sometimes. It might just have cut me off. Then I'll be talking to myself, thinking, everybody we are still in session.
No,
Thank
it's good that you check from time to time because the network is it's fluctuating from all ends.
exactly, yeah.
Uh,
All right, so since we've imported our requests, so the next step, they said we should declare a variable that is equals to the link to that endpoint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to call that, you can call it URL if you want, but then I'm going to call mine base URL. Then it's going to be equal to a string. Then I'm going to paste that link in there. So this is my URL that is equals to this. But then here's one important bit. This part is static. It is a link to their website. Then this part, you don't leave this part as it is. They are telling you to put your API key inside this place, right? So that is what I'm going to do right about now, because the next step is they said we should declare, where is it? Oh, they did not do that, but we want to replace this with our own API key. So I'm going to go back in here, then create a variable. I'm going to call it API key that will be equals to a string. Then I'm going to go back to my platform. Remember, once you register, they are going to give you your own API key. So you can copy that, or you can use my own that I pasted inside this, what is it called? This Google Chat area. But once you register, they're going to give you an API key, so use yours instead. So I'm going to paste my API key here. All right, so I have my API key, I have their link. So now I need to find a way to add this my API key variable. I need to find a way to add that variable here instead of this. So we've treated concatenation, we've treated string formatting, we've treated f string. So whichever one you prefer, you can use it. Just find a way to add that variable that is storing your API key instead of this. So since I prefer f string, I'm going to turn all these things to an f string. Then it means this particular area can now be a curly braces, so my API key variable can go in there, right? So the next thing we are going to do is, because this they are what is it called, USD here. What if I'm not converting from dollars? What if I want to convert from naira? Because this USD is the currency you're converting from. So it shouldn't be listed as USD. If it is listed as USD, it means until you manually change it, it will always be converting from USD, which is not what we want. We want a system where we give users the option to type in an amount. We give them the option to type in where they are converting from. We give them the option to type in where they are converting to. Then once they tap enter or click on calculate or convert, it will convert to that tool, right? So it means this one should not always be in USD. So what I'm going to do is, even though we are going to be adding the from currency to this later on, we are going to be using Python for that. But for now, you know what I'm going to do? Let me just copy this. So we are going to be using this to compare later on. Then I'm going to comment this. So this is the link they gave to us, but I want to modify mine by removing this USD because I want to use Python to add the currency they are converting from later on, right? So this is the link we are going to be working with, right? Their own link, but minus the USD. Okay, so that being said, I think we have all the ingredients we need to create our system. Now, here comes the moment of truth. Whenever you're creating a system like this, you could decide to create one function that handles everything. You could decide to create 3 functions that handle everything. You could decide to create 4 functions that handle everything, or 2 functions that handles everything. What me I prefer to do oftentimes is I create a function that handles the logic, the conversion and whatnot. Then I create another function that runs the entire code, right? So it means in essence I'm going to be creating 2 functions, right? So now let me start from the first function. The first function, remember def to create a function. The first function I'm going to be creating would be the function to convert it, right? So in here, let me just return a string of hello. So that's the first function. Remember, I want to create two functions. One to convert the logic to convert everything, then another function to run everything. Okay. Um, so let me do maybe print currency converter Python. Okay, so now these are my two functions. So now this is how I want this to work, right? So it means the logic of my entire system will go inside here. Then this my run function is what is going to run everything from here, right? So it means if I want the entire thing to remember, your function would never run unless you invoke or you call that function, right? So it means if I run this particular thing, nothing would happen now because I'm not invoking any of this function. So what I want to do is I want to use this function to call this one eventually. So it means just by calling this function, just by doing this, let me do this. Just by doing this, Pacman will run this, then that would in turn run this. Then because I'm not calling this inside, I type convert. I type convert here. It means this run will also call this first function, but we are not doing that yet, so I'm going to remove this. So what this means is once the Pacman is coming this way, it sees the first function. Okay, this is what you're trying to do. I'll just consume this and pass. Okay, this second function, I'll just consume this and pass. Okay, now I'm getting to line 17. You are now invoking a function called run. So it goes back here and runs this function. So it means if I run this now, you can see it will say currency converter Python, then it will stop, right? Because that is the only thing I'm doing inside this run function. So these are the functions I'm going to be creating. So in essence, I have two functions, then I'm calling the third one. So now what I want to do eventually is I want to be using this to call this first function later on. Are we still together, please, before we start creating the contents of those functions? Are we still together, please?
So yeah, you're too fast.
I'm too fast.
Some of us are still trying to, yes. Some of us are still trying to just import the request.
That's the thing, right?
It seems
Because
the network is very.
Yes.
you know what you do, right? Because I can't really wait for everyone because we have different networks and we all move at different pace. But that is why, oh, I didn't even check if this session is being recorded. Okay, it's being recorded. That is why we have the recording. Just make sure what I'm doing, you understand it. Just follow my explanation. And since you would have the video later on, immediately after the session, I'm going to post the video recordings. So at that point, you can now be following up. You can, with videos, you can pause, you can rewind, you can do all those stuff, right? So just make sure you understand my explanation first. Then once I post the video, then you can use that to type in your own case. Are we good? Are we?
Yes, we are.
All right, thank you. Okay, so now we have these two functions, then I'm only just calling this function to run everything. Okay, now, so here's what we want to do, right? So first and foremost, we want to print a message to the users that, okay, currency converter system in Python. That's the title of our project. Now, immediately we print the title for them. One thing we want to do is we want to ask them to type in the currency they are converting from or the currency they are converting to. So it means we are going to give them two inputs, right? So I'm going to start from there. So I'm going to say inputs, then enter the currency you are converting Should I do from first? Let me do from first. From. So we can even go further and say maybe EG. So they won't go ahead and keep typing. Remember, it has to be the correct code. Let me go back to the documentation, right? You can see the currency codes here. So if they are typing, if you want to convert to or from USD, they are not typing dollars. They will be typing the codes. I didn't make it. It is the exchange platform that made it so, right? So it means we have to actually guide the users in what they are expecting them to type. So how do we guide them? By providing a placeholder in there. So we can just say EG. I think Naira is NGN, I think. Then maybe USD. Then pounds is GBP, right? So we are just giving them examples of what we are expecting, right? Like this. Now, here is the thing, right? Whatever is coming from here, we want to eventually pass it inside this function. So it means we need to store it inside a variable. So I can call this one maybe from currency equals to this. Yeah. But we are going to encounter a problem here, right? Because by default, if they are typing inside this input, they are going to be typing in small letters, unless some users decide to tap their key for caps lock, which most users would not. So now what we can actually do is, irrespective of what they are typing here, small letters or capital letters, we could just go ahead and convert everything to uppercase. Why? Because what our API is using is uppercase. If you are trying to fetch with lowercase, it will return an error. Remember, Python is case sensitive. So now what we are doing instead is, as they are typing that, we are immediately converting it to uppercase. If they are typing uppercase to uppercase is still uppercase, so that's good. If they are typing lowercase, it will take that and it will convert it to to uppercase. So that is that for the from currency. So we can create a variable for the to currency also, or I can say to currency equals to the same input. Then the placeholder, we can say enter the currency you are converting to. You can provide the same context too and say maybe AG, maybe Canadian dollars or USD or GBP, right? So the same thing we did earlier, we want to take that and convert to uppercase also. Yeah, so we've provided the context for users to type in the currency they want to convert from, then the currency they want to convert to. I would have created the second one, or the third one rather, which is the amount, right? For instance, I could say input enter the amount you want to convert, right? So I could just go ahead and do this and store that inside a variable amount. But now here's the problem here, right? Remember, currency is usually in decimals. It is in floats, right? You either have 5,000, then 20 naira or something like that, point something, right? So the whole number system doesn't really apply to currency. If you're talking dollars now, you have maybe $5, 20 cents, $5, 50 cents, and stuff like that. So it means whatever it is they are typing as an amount, we have to convert it to float. But now the problem now is, what if they are typing letters? Maybe you ask them to type in digit 5, but they are typing FIVE. Our system is going to encounter, I had something, I think that's like 15 more minutes or so. Let me check. Yeah, so that's 15 more minutes. So please, once it is say maybe 5 more minutes, kindly let me know so I can round up, then we can create another session. Okay. So as I was saying, we wanted them to type like a digit 10, digit 20 for the amount they want to convert. But then, as humans now, they might decide to type that thing in words. And if you're trying to cast, because eventually what we want to do is, to cast whatever it is they are typing to a float, right? Because currency is in decimals. But then how do you convert FIVE to float? So it means we are going to be having some sort of errors later on. So instead of just leaving this as it is like this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this inside a try and except block. So what I'll do is I want Python to try and run this. I want Python to try and run this conversion. But if there is an error, except if there is a value error, remember, if you are trying to convert an alphabet into a digit, it's going to give you a value error. So that is basically what I'm trying to say. So if there's a value error, what do I want to do? I want to print a message that says invalid amounts. Please enter a digit. Right, this is just me doing some sort of error handling, so to avoid having some errors later on. Right, so remember I said we are expecting some sort of digit here. So the digit they type, because of the currency nature of dot 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 something, we want to convert it to float. Then we are storing it inside a variable amount, right? But because some persons might decide to type in letters instead of digits, I decided to have this inside a try and except block. So the only error I want to catch here is the value error. Then I want to print this message to them. Then I want to go further again to exit them from the entire application. Remember, we said return keyword is doing two things. One, it can output something you type in front of it. Then two, it can exit the entire system. So I don't want to just display this error to them, then still allow them to continue with the process, right? So that is why I want to go below this place and I want to return. So what it means is immediately I display this message to them, I want to exit them from the entire system, right? So now let's test run it and see. So I'm going to run it. So it says currency converter system. So it means it was here. Now it jumped to this place. You see it says enter the currency you're converting from. So I'm going to type NGN, enter. It jumped to this second one, right? Enter the currency you're converting to. So I want to do USD, or I could even do small letters USD because I'm converting to upper already. Then I'll tap enter, then enter the amount you want to convert. So now let me make an intentional error. Let me type TEN, then enter. You can see it says invalid amount, please enter a digit. It exited us from that application. You can see it returned us back to the path. So now let me not make an intentional error this time around and see what we are going to get. So enter the currency you're converting from. Let me do USD. Currency you're converting to GBP. Enter the amount you want to convert. I want to do 7, then enter. Right, still the same thing, but we can't really see that it has exited, right? Because there is nothing here, there is nothing here after. Let me see. Okay, just for us to actually understand what is happening here, let me print no error, welcome, just for us to see how the entire thing works, right? If there's an error, it's going to print this, then return. So it means it's going to exit the entire thing. But if there is no error, it means it will see this particular line. So now let me run it again, then we'll see. So enter the currency you're converting from. I want to do USD. currency you're converting to, I want to do Canadian dollars. Then the amount, I want to do 8. Then enter. You can see it says no error, welcome. So now let me run it again, then make an intentional mistake. So I'll do GBP USD. Then I want to type 10. You can see it says invalid amounts, please enter a digit. It did not get to this page, it just exited them from the entire system because of this return. So the reason why I'm using this return here is because they've typed the wrong thing. So why would I want to go ahead and process that wrong thing they typed? The best thing would be to exit them until they get it right. So that is why I'm using return here. Are we still together, please?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. So I can now remove this print welcome. So it means our system is running. What we then need to do is, if they type in the wrong thing, we exit them. That one is okay. So now if they type in the right thing, what we want to do is those right thing they typed, the right currency, the right to currency, the right amount, we want to call this convert and pass whatever it is they type into that particular, we want to pass it into that function, right? We've learned how to pass parameters into function. So what I want to do is I want to call the convert function. Then I want to pass 3 things. The first thing I want to pass is the from currency. The second thing I want to pass is the to currency. Then the next thing I want to pass is the amount. Then because we want to do something with the results that will come from this, I could then go ahead and store this entire thing into a variable result, right? So with the right things they typed, I'm passing it into this function. So now here is the thing, right? Once your Pacman now gets to this place, it sees, oh, this person is calling another function. It will jump into that particular function, which is this one. So since you're passing 3 parameters into that function, it means you have to receive those 3 parameters with 3 placeholders, right? So if you want maybe to use the same variable names, you can just go ahead and type three of those variable names here. But if you don't want, you can just do first, second, and third is just a placeholder. But this one will confuse you because you start, thinking, oh, which one is the first again? Which one is the second? Which one is the third? So it can be confusing. So if you don't want to be confused, you can just receive it with the same variable names, right? Which is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to just receive with the same variable name. I think this one is what's this one called again? Okay, from currency. Then the second one is the to currency. Then the third one is the amount. So what I'm doing is I'm passing these parameters that we are getting here into that function. Then I'm receiving it with these placeholders here. So now what I want to do is, let's even see if we can return those 3 things to the terminal. So I want to return, remember your return keyword can return 3 parameters all at once, or 3 values rather, sorry. So basically garbage in, garbage out, right? We want them to type in all these things, then we are passing it into this function, then we are only just returning them straightforward, right? So garbage in, garbage out.
Hello, Mr. Shegun. I think you
Yes.
have 6 minutes left.
Okay, 6 minutes, right? Thank you. Once it is like 2 minutes, please just let me know. I want to manage the time as much as possible, because if we don't manage the time well, we might end up creating like 3 sessions, and I don't want that. 2 sessions is enough. So we don't want to dash Google Meet the remaining 5 or 6 minutes. We only want to dash them like 1 minute, right? So once it is like 2 minutes more, kindly let me know, please. All right, so we basically just want to do garbage in, garbage out. We receive what users type, we pass them inside this function, then we basically just receive them back in here, then we return those 3 values. So now let me clear the terminal and run it and see if it returns. Remember, if we still remember correctly, whenever you're returning more than one value, it will come as a tuple, right? We've seen that when we're treating functions. All right, so now let me run this. So enter the currency you're converting from. I'm going to do USD. Currency you're converting to, I want to do CAD. Then the amount, I want to do 78. It says the amount you want to convert is 78. Where is he getting this one from? Oh, it's because we are not doing anything with these results. So this is where it stopped. Okay, so here's the thing, right? We are passing these parameters inside this convert function. We are getting the results inside this result variable, but we are not doing anything with that result variable. So that is why nothing was printed to the terminal. So what I could do is I could just return result here if I want. I could just do return results. So this would have outputted the result from this place, right? So the reason why we didn't get anything was, okay, we stored something into this inside this result variable, but we did not print, we did not return anything. So that's why empty was returned. So let me run it again. Let me clear. Then currency you're converting from CAD, currency you're converting to USD, then the units 78. It's still saying the same thing. And I don't want to print. Ideally, since we are running it here, print would have returned the right thing. But I hate printing the result from a function. Well, but for the purpose of, I just want us to see. So let me just print, but I'm going to remove it immediately, right? But let me just print it so we can see. But please avoid printing the result from a function. All right, so let's just do this so we can see. So USD CAD, then 89. So you can see it says USD, which is the first value we are returning, then CAD, which is the second one we are returning, then 89.0. Remember, we converted it to float, which is the third one we are returning. But please, I just wanted us to see.
2 minutes more.
Okay, thank you. So I'll just round up now. So I just wanted us to see the garbage in, garbage out we are getting. Avoid printing the results of a function, please. So let me just comment this. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is let's round up this session. Then I'm going to quickly create a new session link, then paste in the group. Then we'll continue from there. So once we join, I'm just going to do a quick recap before we continue and create a logic in this function, right? So as I said, please, we are about 6 in the group right now, in the session right now. So please, immediately I paste the link, just quickly click on it and join so we can, finish on time, please. So just give me, it won't be more than a minute. Just give me a few seconds, then click the link in the group, the new link I'm going to be posting, then we can continue from there. All right, so see you guys in the next session.